So I went to my first W game Thursday night out here in Phoenix, Mercury, Valkyries. And I don't know what it is. Every time I go see Golden State, whether it's the Valkyries or the Warriors out here, I get a dud. I get a dud from the squad. And it kind of started that way, right? This Valkyries team is trying to establish that this identity of defense, effort, and energy. We're going to play harder than you, and so we're going to get you. That's how we're going. That's our advantage. And for the first time this season, to start that game Thursday in Phoenix, they were kind of out of it. I don't know if they were out in Scottsdale the night before. I think Scottsdale and in Phoenix for the travel team is a little underrated as far as the nightlife and perhaps what they look like during games out here. But they got off to a sluggish start. But it was one of those games where it's like, oh, we're only down 4. Okay, we're only down 2. We're only down 5, right? Despite not executing and not winning the 50-50 balls and not showing the amount of energy that we've grown accustomed to here early with this organization. But overall, again, my first W game with my daughter, we had a really good time. I liked the vibes, man. It definitely is a different crowd, and it feels much more of a community, to be honest with you. Even if that community isn't for me, it's a cool atmosphere for out here in Phoenix. The Mercury have one of the best fan bases in the league, and they were missing Alyssa Thomas and what's their other acquisition? I want to say Howard, but they're two main key cogs, and so it felt like, okay, maybe we can steal this one, and they end up falling apart down the stretch. Suspect rotations from Nakase and just poor execution. I don't know her first name. They had this little young guard. I say young. I don't know if she was a rookie or not. I think this is her second year, maybe. Held. This little white girl was killing us coming off handoffs and screens. Hezzies, step back threes, floaters, pivots. And she's a bucket, man. It was a career night for her. And, to me now, I'm playing with this theory here as I learn the W more and more, but it seems as though the W has kind of a scouting issue when it comes to the opportunities that these girls get. Now, granted, I understand there's only, 13 teams, and so the opportunity is scarce. And then you combine that with the fact that the women aren't making enough money yet, and so the older players play longer. It's not like, oh, I've made a ton of money, I can just retire. They're holding on to their spots longer, so I understand that. But when it comes to the scouting of who's being taken and who's being given opportunities, it feels like they're missing a lot. And you'll see a girl like Held, and you'll see these girls that go undrafted that come in, you're like, no, they can hoop. They should probably be getting more opportunity than some of these girls around the league that are in rotations. There's a lot of talent out there that's untapped. And I think that's exciting in a way, especially for the Valkyries, right? Because you see they're going to have to play with their roster here a little bit with the European tournaments happening this summer. We'll talk about that in a minute. I wanted to talk about, a couple of observations from being there in real life, in person, seeing them. Veronica Burton is absolutely an elite defender, and she's the head of the snake of the defense, the point of attack defender, the pace, super strong handle, but she doesn't stride. And it's just a mechanical thing. What is she, 5'7", 5'8"? But if you look at her hips, she has that low center of gravity is what makes her such a good defender, and those hips. She's always squared up when she's dribbling and moving with the ball. She never opens up and strides and takes long steps to create distance. And so she needs a bigger runway to turn the corner, higher ball screens, zoom actions, where she can just turn the corner and take them. For her to turn the corner, it's like it's double the amount of steps as some of these girls, even the smaller girls, under 6 foot girls. But defensively, her leadership, and I understand why she is the lead ball handler and guard right now. But I noticed that. I was like, oh, she really takes too many steps when trying to turn the corner. She never strides. The other thing that stood out to me was Kate Martin. It was her birthday Thursday, and the Martinis are everywhere. They travel, but she's really slow. She's really slow of foot. Like, she's less athletic than I thought she was, seeing her in person. However, she's so good at basketball. She understands angles. Her skill level, her bag is super high. Her mind, she's obviously a clutch shot maker. She's already hit like how many buzzer beaters in this season? 2 or 3 of them at the end of quarters. But I say all that to say, I think Kate needs to gain some weight and put on some size. And let me rewind here a little bit. When I first started watching the W, I'm not going to lie to you, I said to myself, like, a lot of these girls are kind of out of shape. Like they look a little big, a little hefty. But then I started to realize that a lot of the time it's by design, especially with the guards, because the game is played on the ground. There's not much jumping and verticality. So it's all about physicality, contact balance, bumping and banging, right? Is that a pause? I don't know. But so some of it is by design, and the weight actually helps them. And since Kate is not fleet of foot, she's not twitchy, she's not going to beat people with her quickness, she's a bigger guard. I think if she could add some strength and some weight to her frame, I think it would really do her game a lot of good. And she could be that bully ball sixth woman that it seems like they're trying to develop her into. It looks like they're trying to carve out the sixth woman role for her as a scorer off the bench. But and this again, the skill is there. I think it's all there. But again, if she could put on a little weight, I think it would help her game. Now, I say that it's by design. Let's not get it twisted. Some of these big broads, they need to get on the Stairmaster, right? Like some of them is just hiding within that. Because some girls, it's good for their game. Some girls, especially some of the bigs, like off the bench, it's like, no, you got to get in shape. You got to get in better shape. But yeah, that's what I see as for Kate Martin, as far as she could get stronger and put on some weight and just get her. Do you see that hezzy she put on Asia yesterday? That was nasty, man. Let's talk about the Valkyries' performance. They ended up blowing the one in Phoenix. Disappointing. They should have won that one. They absolutely should have. And then Saturday afternoon, yesterday, primetime first national television game, a cup game against one of the more prominent teams and prominent players in the W, in Asia Wilson in the Aces. Quickly, though, before we talk about that big win, underdog. You can use the code Alchemy, get a 50% bonus on your first deposit up to 1,000 credits. I hope y'all did the extender boosts, right? But they're running boosts all through these NBA finals. I was at the Valkyries game for that game one. I did cover it on my Patreon, but I would have hopped on YouTube, but it was too late. It was just that 24 hours. But I am covering these finals, and I will be back at y'all with the rest of these games in my commentary on that. But I have picks for game 2. And I am going Aaron Nesmith higher than 1.5 threes. I think he's going to get more opportunity. He's going to shoot better. And then Hartenstein higher than 6.5 rebounds. I know Dagnall abandoned the double big lineup, but I don't know if he can do that. They got beat by 20 on the glass in that game one. And Hartenstein honestly played better than Chet in that game one. Now you expect Chet to get the opportunity to play better, but I like those picks for game 2. And as far as the series goes, can you really win a championship with one guy taking 30 shots? What killed me was he takes 30 shots, and then in those final 90 seconds, he's kicking the ball to J-Dub. He's like, you go. J-Dub's like, what you doing giving me the ball? So, yeah, the Thunder, everyone's had this kind of gut feeling of like, are they really ready for this? And the reality is the Pacers are far more battle-tested, and it almost feels like destiny at this point with, Hallelujah, Hallaberry, Halliburton. Like he's just... And it just feels like all their players are kind of at the right moments in their career for this time. And again, the last 2 seasons of their playoff runs, they're far more battle tested. But we'll see. We'll see. I think I just want a good long series. But again, underdog, use the link in the description. Alchemy, get the boost, support the channel. Now, let's talk about what was probably the Valkyries' biggest win of the season contextually against this Aces team. I did a breakdown today, and I'll put that link in the description as well. I compared them to kind of like the 22 Warriors, where you have Asia Wilson. You still have one of the most dominant players in the league, but the parts around her look a little bit different. They're a little older, and they're a team that you don't want to see in the playoffs because of their pedigree. You understand that, but I don't think anyone favors them to get to another W finals. They're just... It feels kind of like they're in a transition. Kelsey Plum dips. They clearly miss her. Jill Lloyd is, she's only getting like 8-9 shots a game. I think she's really having a hard time adjusting to such little volume to find her rhythm. But Natalie Nakase has been on this Aces bench is the last, I don't know, 3 years? You want to talk about familiarity. The Valkyries come out and they're just all over what the Aces want to do. At the first possession of the game, Zendalcini jumps a skip pass. And you could just see all the tendencies and all the attention, obviously, on Asia and taking away her game. And it's impressive that she is so dominant because she wants to operate below the nail and she still does what she does. And it's in part why she's so efficient, because she just kind of sticks to what she does. But it also can be easier to game plan for, because she wants the ball at the nail. And now they don't have the other weapons going right now to make you pay for doubling her, right? And so they force 7 turnovers in that first quarter against this Aces team. And Kayla Thornton was just like shot out of a cannon. And I'm thinking about it and I'm like, well, why is she so turned up? Hey, but that's kind of her. Again, she's won me over with her leadership, her energy, and just all the intangibles she brings to the table. But then I realized, oh yeah, she's been on that Liberty team. She's been a part of that Liberty Aces rivalry the last 2 seasons. So I think that had something to do with it. But she opens up with like a pull-up 3, spin move, hook layup, and it's like, okay, she's bringing the smoke, right? But I think that the other critical part of this was Monique Billings. Mo Billings was playing like the rent was due. And that was one of my bigger takeaways in Phoenix against the Mercury. Now, I didn't hear of anything that she's nursing or she was under the weather or anything. She DNP'd against the Mercury. And as Nakase figures out the rotation here and early in this conception of this team, one glaring thing has been the Mo Billings minutes. She clearly right now is one of the leaders and one of the better players on this team. When you comes to IQ, energy, rotations, screen setting is such a lost art form in today's basketball. And she's an elite screener. The timing on the roll, the rebounding, right? The turn right shoulder. I don't know about the 3, the pick and pop. She hit one yesterday. But I say all that to say, Janelle Salon, who's been getting the start, the rookie, right? Was there an agreement made when she decided to sign with the Valkyries of like a certain role she was going to get? Like, we promised you're going to start and play this much. Because I think we all see the potential in her. She's an intriguing young player. She's not there yet. Right now, today, Mo Billings is a much more experienced and complete player that can help the Valkyries win minute to minute. And so, again, I'm not aware of why she DNP'd and why she hasn't been playing as much, but she made a statement yesterday against Asia Wilson. She made a statement yesterday because, listen, it was a team effort on Asia, but there were, even when they didn't send help, for her to physically match up with Asia and match her physicality and get stops and do what she did is the type of performance that makes the whole league take notice. Like, oh, like you like really? Because Asia's the most physically dominant player in the league. Be clear about it. She frustrated her. She brought it to her on the offensive end, and it was just a master performance from both Mo and Thornton, who are carving out the leadership roles on this team as the 2 leaders. Now, Tiffany Hayes, I think clearly is going to be a part of that when she's back from the nose, and I understand why it's going to take, you get it hit twice in like a couple days I get it. It's traumatizing. But yeah, you could tell it meant more to Nakase. And what have we lost? 4 in a row. So it was just a bigger game. It was new that we do have to acknowledge the Aces. They didn't look up for the challenge. We didn't get the best of the Aces, but so what? No one's going to feel sorry for you, especially in the W, where every win is so important in their condensed season. And, Nakase continues to show the ability to get them to play hard outside of the game I went to, of course, right? But again, she had some questionable rotations in the end of that Mercury game. We weren't able to execute. And this was a game that the Valkyries wanted much more than the Aces, and they blew them off the floor. Right? Halfway through that third quarter, defense leading to offense. That's what's so important about it. You get the Thornton performance. Pull up. I don't know if we want to have her having a steady diet of threes, pull up threes, right? But it was working for her last night. And you saw the identity of defense leading to offense. The getting stops, getting out and playing faster in pace where we can score easier rather than these half-court sets. Now, Carla Late has, kind of fallen out of the rotation. Again, Nakase is still trying to figure things out. I think what she figured out yesterday was Mo Billings. We need Mo, right? Clearly. Late, I've been impressed when we have seen her. So the guard rotation, part of it's been Zendelcini getting the start, but she's headed again to this Euro Cup tournament. I'm not really sure what it is, but she's going to be gone for a good portion of the season. And so the Valkyries have picked up. Shoot, I don't know her name yet, but she is the big that played at South Carolina, big athletic girl that played for Don Staley. So you imagine she defends. You imagine she rebounds and plays with a motor. They had her in preseason. I like the pickup, and they cut the big girl from, I think, was she Dutch or something, off the bench? I don't know where she was from. But again, the roster is going to be evolving, and I think that there's going to be more personnel moves, perhaps a trade. But you're starting to see Kate Martin carve out the role as the sixth woman. Burton, the head of the stake, the point of attack defender, right? And then Thornton and Billings as the leaders, the physicality, the energy, we got this, the momentum builders and stoppers. But if they can defend, if they can become an elite defense, it's going to help their offense so much. And that's what you saw yesterday afternoon against the Aces. But yeah, we'll see, as far as this backcourt rotation, Julie Van Loo, she's getting the backup minutes. And the one time the Aces did go on a run yesterday, Burton had picked up her fourth foul. Julie comes in, and she just has a couple of quirks, a couple of habits that are pretty irritating. You know what she kind of reminds me of? I had someone that said, oh, Buddy Hield. She kind of reminds me of Jordan Poole in the sense of she's flashy. She's super creative with the ball, right? And she puts a lot of pressure on the defense when she can push the pace. But I'm not sure you can trust her like down the stretch with her decision making. She, the one-handed skip passes, those are a big guard pass. Like at her size, to be able to pick it up and see over the top and create that angle for that skip, she has a lot of turnovers out of those. And then she also has this habit, because she likes to kind of, she's got flair to her game, no-look passes. She tries to no-look to the second side a lot. And because they're not all the way in sync, the girl's not there any longer. And it's like, you got to take a glance. You can take it. You can still get it there on time. Take a glance if the girl's still in the corner or if she's cutting. But, I think that I like her attitude. And I think that, her knack for, again, creativity and explosive moments, that, she very much should have a role on this team. I just also think Carla, if Carla should get the opportunity for that backup point guard role behind Burton at some point here. And perhaps that will be as these girls go over to that tournament. I'm not sure how many of them are going over. I know Zendelcini is, and perhaps Salon, and that maybe opens up the starting role for Mo. But yeah, man, really good win. I think an important win at this point, because they had taken so many losses in a row. Bad one in Phoenix, and reestablishing the identity that they're trying to build. Again, I will be back covering the finals. I will be back with both breakdowns of Valkyries and Pacers Thunder throughout this week. The best way to support the channel is through the Patreon. And always just hitting that like, sharing, and subscribing. I'm out, y'all.